Hello everyone, my name is Hussam Al-Ghazi, and today my presentation is going to be about comparing and contrasting the expectation and assumptions of medieval time and the expectation of 21st century America. How did the people on both time periods image what their choices were and what they would be able to accomplish in life? This was a very interesting topic. So if someone from the past asks you, what is 21st century like? I would tell that person that what made this century different, the fact that the government really functioned and took a big role in this century more than any other centuries. There were many industrialization revolutions, liberalization, privatization of companies, globalizations, technology that had been used in education, healthcare that made this century superior to any other previous centuries before. Definitely a good place to live in. That's what I would say to a person from the medieval time. Now, I would ask that same person, how was living in your time, the medieval time? And I think before we get to their answer, I just want to say that the medieval time basically started after the Western Roman Empire collapsed. So it's somewhere between the year 476 and it lasted up to 1450. So the person might tell me that this time was really difficult for everyone. It had so many challenges. People were starving, diseases were everywhere, and wars were right and left. A lot of Europeans died for many reasons. The number one reasons of why Europeans disappeared in that time is the disease that is spread out so fast among them. It's called the Black Death. It was expected that it executed about 33% of the European. There were also other conflicts among kingdoms and people in the kingdom themselves. I definitely could sense that time was pretty rough for everyone. The 21st century basically was known of liberating people and taking them out of oppression. Women, for example, are no longer expected to be submissive to society and men. Women are expected to work and actively take many roles politically, socially, and own a lot of companies and be powerful examples. Equality was finally protected by law, and it gave a safe place for every person, all individuals, to be treated the same. I took this issue, Black Lives Matter, as an example of a recent um, hot topic for the 21st century. Medieval time, however, had so many issues. It lacked novel thinking and cultural strength. Surprisingly, also, Catholic Church took and dominated the entire time. It had a very powerful influence on the people, the kings, and everyone in the kingdom. The medieval time also had another issue. It's called the feudal system. Basically, everything belonged, all the lands, all the factories, and money belongs to the kings. And it was really, really hard for anyone from the bottom to work their way up to the top or even cross the levels. For example, I have this picture right here. The kings are all the way on the top, the peasants on the bottom. It's hard for the peasants to work their way all the way up to be around the king. And that kind of system lasted the entire medieval time. What are some assumptions of 21st centuries? I would say the 21st century assumptions was definitely driven by logic and facts. This time was for social changes. This time was for equality. This time was for the people to stand up and protect and fight for their rights. I have a picture of women protesting for their rights of their bodies, and they want the laws to stay away from telling them what to do with their bodies, including abortion. It's a new phase in this century of this life in which people really do not accept things for the face value and they always aim to go above and beyond to search the truth. Sadly, it's totally the opposite in the medieval assumptions. Their assumptions was controlled by traditions. People took many things by face value, the opposite of the people in the 21st century, and they agreed to abide by it for their stand. And not many people would have the courage to protest or stand against the kings. And the reason why I took this picture is because they used tortures and scare tactics to scare people to stand up against their kings, the church, and their rulers. So it was very, really hard back then for someone to protest or just shout against the king or ask for their rights or ask to be treated equal. It was pretty tough back then. That would take me to what present America looked like. What things made America different than any other nations? Well, as an individual, it is self help, individuality known to be in America, meaning you don't need a lot of people to help you to reach your goals. It's not easy either, but it's doable. As an immigrant person, came here with little money, so is my family. Didn't speak any word English, and I've reached a degree, and I'm going for my second one, and I had really good jobs, and I had good life that I made by myself without nobody's help. This is America living. Self-help is very important. Individuals also were more encouraged than oppressed. American voice their opinion without any fear, something I cherish and hold dear to my heart. Americans are very concerned about who is in charge of their power, who's in charge, and who is in power, who's making decisions for the country. That would explain the three branches in the government. And also, American societies assumes and expect dignified treatment between all people from all races, religion, sexuality, color, or creed. This country is definitely beautiful. It's not perfect, but it's better than. Medieval times, we kind of knew how it ended and how horrible it was, and we knew the challenges that they faced back then. This made me wonder, before my slide ends, like what other issues do I think the 21st century might facing in the future? What challenges do we have ahead of us? What can we learn from the past so we could avoid doing the same mistakes in the future? And the number one thing that I could think of was actually the global warming, the rising of the seas, the irregularity of the rainfall, the drought. Um, all that were issues that may emerge as a drastic reasons for future conflicts among nations. We are going to face a new challenges that we have not seen in the history in the past. And I do hope and pray that we moving on forward, we were able or we will be able to face all these challenges and solve all these issues that we have not been tested on before. And this will be the end of my slide. I hope that you guys enjoyed my presentation. I hope that I gave you a little glimpse of how people lived and how they acted in the medieval century compared to the 21st century. I hope I gave you maybe a few questions to ask yourself. How can we move forward? And what challenges are ahead of us? What can we do now to face these challenges? Thank you.